Hello and welcome to episode number 71 of The Pitcher or the Hitter, the podcast by the M-SABR Dynasty League for the M-SABR Dynasty League. I am Cam.
I'm Sahil.
And I've got just one thing to say here, and that is sell the team, Bob.
Sell the team, Bob. Yeah, I cannot believe that Jesse Winker trade. I am very excited for you, however, because you have traded for both future AL MVP Jake Fraley, who is now future NL MVP Jake Fraley, and future NL Cy Young Award winner, and Giovanni is a Wonderland favorite, Brandon Williamson. So I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of the Reds.
I mean, Brandon Williamson is a good get, I will agree, but my God, why are you trading away Jesse Winker? What is happening?
Yeah.
You know what I feel like? And to use a Simpsons reference that no one here is going to get, I feel like Bart in the Camp Krusty episode where he's been dealing with Krusty's bullshit for so long, but he's got this unwavering optimism. And then suddenly he snaps and goes insane because he can't take the abuse from Krusty being a jerk of an idol to him all the time. And he eventually burns down the camp and starts a mutiny with all the children, blah, 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 blah. That's what I feel like as a Reds fan right now.
I can't say I have seen that episode, but I feel, as an Orioles fan who has suffered quite a bit as well, I feel for you. It's got to get worse before it gets better, although for you all this seems like the beginning of a nightmare that does not have an immediate end.
You're right, and I'm not going to dwell on this too long. This is a fake baseball podcast, not a real baseball podcast, and we've got an exciting episode today. We're going to talk a little bit first about some more not fun stuff, but then we've got a draft coming up with Zane. Zane has been nice enough to join us as we draft historical seasons for our Dynasty League format. We're building a team of 15 players. It's going to be a ton of fun. I'm really excited. I had a blast doing the research. I know you did too.
Oh yeah, this was so fun. Honestly, this is kind of hard to put together a team, and strategizing was really tough. I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about it afterwards. I think even now, like minutes before we're going to record that segment, I'm already like rethinking my strategy here. So it's going to be interesting. I'm certainly looking forward to this. I know you and Zane are, but let's get the bad stuff out of the way. Let's start on a good note. The last time we recorded a podcast, there was no baseball, and we were preparing for this episode as if there was going to be no baseball. And last week, we almost did a segment of who wins and who loses from a shortened season. We all lost, but some teams would see some benefits because of injured players getting some more time to recover. But thankfully, we will never have to do that segment. Baseball is back. But with baseball coming back, we are getting a lot of news, both good and bad on players. This one is particularly bad, and it's bad for me. Fernando Tatis Jr. has fractured his wrist. He will be out for at least he's going to be out for around 3 months, is what it looks like. I think early to mid-June looks like when he can come back. This is devastating. Tatis is obviously my best offensive player. I think he was an MVP candidate this past season, that if he had stayed healthy for a full 162, I think he probably would have won it. I think he played like 130 games that ended up being with 2 IL stints for his shoulder and then an IL stint for COVID. I am a little concerned with the way that he suffered this injury. I mean, he did talk about getting into some motorcycle accidents, not just one, but multiple. And I wonder if that contributed to it. I'm also a little frustrated because I wonder, had the lockout not been happening and he had access to team doctors, maybe they would have nip this issue in the butt earlier in the offseason, or at the very least, he had the surgery done. So either he'd miss none of the season or maybe a week or two in the season. I'm thankful it's not a season-ending injury. I am concerned that it's a wrist injury because we know that those can linger a little bit. But Tatis is young and he's so talented that I feel like it'll be fine. He'll bounce back. I'm not super worried. And I do think I have the pieces on my team to, kind of overcome his loss in the short term. Obviously, Carlos Correa is a very good shortstop. I still have a lot of other solid offensive players. I have the pitching depth. But this is a huge loss. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah, it is a huge loss. There's no way around that. Do you, coupling this with the Jack Flaherty injury news, do you still consider yourself the front runner for this season? Do you think you're the best team? I know you claimed you were last week. How much has that changed with the injury news?
Well, I'll say two things to that. First, on Jack Flaherty, and maybe by the time this episode's up, we'll have some more clarity. But for now, he's just going in and
some clarity.
See, yeah, your pun game is on tonight. Oh my God. Yes, some Flaherty clarity. It could be as simple as, hey, he's, just gone to spring training, normal aches and pains. So, while it sounds a little ominous and the media runs with these things, I don't want to, jump to conclusions quite yet. We saw how everybody jumped to conclusions in the offseason with Max Muncy, and now he looks like he should be fine to start the season. Which is also a reason I think that can kind of mitigate some of the loss of Tatis, which is I kind of had planned for Muncy to not be playing. So I did make sure to carry an extra bat. And assuming Muncy is healthy, I think I should be able to retain some of that offensive depth. And basically, I think I still have one of the best offenses in the league, coupled with by far the best rotation in the league, and also a solid group of relievers who I'll add to, as I'm able to put some guys on the IL. And I think that's the case with the pitchers, even if Jack Flaherty goes on the IL, because I still have, Cole and Woodruff, who I think might be the best 1-2 duo that any team has. And, still have Nola and Fried and Julio Urias, along with some other, solid mid to back end rotation starters. So I do think the gap's narrowed a bit. I do think that I might drop a game or two early in the season that I might not otherwise have dropped. But hey, I won a championship dealing with quite a few injuries in 2020 and not rostering Fernando Tatis. So there's no reason I can't, be a championship winning team again.
That is true. You did not own Fernando Tatis when you won the championship. So I think you'll most likely be just fine. It's going to be interesting, though. That's for sure. And speaking about what's going to happen this season, we have so it's going to be a 20-game schedule because of the season being a little bit funky this year, which means we had to figure out who's going to play who just once this year. Eric randomized it, and so there are going to be two teams that everyone is not going to be, or each team will play everyone twice except for two teams, which they'll be only playing once. And that's kind of led to some interesting wrinkles into the schedule. There's some winners and losers for sure.
Yeah, Connor's a huge winner. And it's funny because we ran it the first time. We ran it twice to pick the two, and Connor's two that he was only going to play once was me and Eric. And then we threw out the second one, which included me, because we realized that Ruth, Vic, and Andrew were paired twice. So then Eric ran it again.
Maybe that should just mean that Ruth, Vic, and Andrew play 0 times.
That'd honestly be pretty funny. But we ran it again, and now Connor doesn't have to play you a second time. So he has to play me a second time, but not you or Eric, which means I kind of lost a little bit there. But that's kind of huge for Connor, because I feel like we've talked about the validity of Connor's ability to repeat. And this certainly helps if he's not playing you and Eric a second time. I do think he's definitely the favorite to be the 4 seed as of now. I don't think he's cracking those top 3, but I think that it does give him a nice structural advantage over some of the other teams who could potentially compete for the number 4 seed that Connor was last year. What are your thoughts?
No, absolutely. I think you're dead on. And I think there are definitely some losers to this as well. I think Jake comes out of this not super well because he only gets to play Alex and Zach once, and he only gets to play Yuki once. So really, those are teams you want to pad your stats against. Ruthvik a little bit as well. Ruthvik faces Andrew once and Anthony once. It really depends on what happens to Anthony's team this coming year. He made the playoffs last year, but I think he's bound to take a step back this year. But I think definitely the winner is Connor, and maybe to a lesser extent my team, depending on how EBO does. The loser, this is Jake, and to a lesser extent Ruthvik, depending on how Anthony does.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think there are a couple teams who had one really solid team that they don't have to play twice, and one really bad team that they don't have to play twice. So like I don't get to play Daniel and Greg twice, but I also don't get to play Andrew twice, which is nice. And EBO doesn't get to play you twice, but they also don't get to play Daniel and Greg twice. So kind of interesting to see how this landed out. You all can see the full results in the chat, and I'm sure Eric's put it in the spreadsheet by now. But yeah, that was definitely an interesting result. And I was kind of surprised too, because I thought we were going to kind of do it based off the records from the previous season to make it a bit more kind of balanced, or some competitive balance, which I don't know how I feel about randomizing it necessarily, but if this is what the league is for, I'm for it.
Yeah, I think it's fine. And yeah, the only other thing that I wanted to mention before we move on to our segment is that we've started the Defining Moments tournament, our 3rd annual Defining Moments tournament. And there is first of all, this one, it's only things that happened in the previous year, the year since the most recent Defining Tournaments bracket, which means it's going to be 32 items instead of 64. It'll be a little more rapid. But another fun wrinkle is there's a podcast region now.
Yes. Boy, I have really been looking forward to the podcast region. It's funny because when we did the Reese Hoskins episode, which was one of the ones that we recently voted on, I believe that lost actually.
Did it? It was the number 1 podcast moment.
Yeah, I think you and I both agreed on that. But like I mentioned on the air for that, I was like, I can't wait for this to be in the Defining Moments bracket, and for it to lose.
It is currently tied 6-6. It needs a tiebreaker.
Yeah, I feel like what's difficult is Frank Mazzicato's in the front of everybody's head. I do think it's probably a little underseeded, although it just hasn't been around long enough for me to feel comfortable putting it too much higher. But it's certainly a viable candidate. But it's also just you saying, hey, it's Frank Mazzicato.
Hey, you underseeded me. What can you deal with that?
God, it cracks me up every time. But I think you and I are biased too, because I remember recording that Reese Hoskins segment live and watching that, and that was just bonkers. We'll see. It's definitely been interesting though, and got the podcast as a region. It's been nice to mix it up because I feel like last year's bracket got a bit stale with it mostly just being a repeat of the first year's bracket with a couple of new things. So I like this idea better, and I am excited to see how we vote.
I am too. Yeah. Hopefully we can get some podcast moments. Well, I guess we're guaranteed to get a podcast moment in the final 4, but hopefully it wins whatever it may be.
Well, I think that's all we had for this segment. It looks like Zane is ready to join the Zoom room. Do we want to take a break and let Zane in?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's take a quick break. And next time you hear our voices, there will be a third voice with our voices.
My God, Cam.
All right, we are back now, and we are joined by a special guest. It is Zane Harding here to participate in our first and probably only all-time player draft. How are you doing today, Zane?
Good. I'm taking Phil Koch #1 overall.
Phil Koch is by far the best player in Major League Baseball history. So
Yeah,
don't blame you. He was at the
not
top.
even close, baby.
Not even close.
I'm just sad that it won't be Giovanni going #1 overall in back-to-back drafts.
Oh, that
Yeah.
would be insane. Damn.
So this draft is going to be a little different. We are taking individual seasons of players, which would and we're drafting them as if we're drafting like in our league. So we are using the 12 categories we use in the M-SABR league and using those to draft the best individual seasons of all time by individual players. So for example, you would take Barry Bonds' 1992 season. That would be your pick. And you would get his home runs, his on base, his doubles, etc. The only rules are if one player has been taken in 1 year, you cannot take that same player in another year. And the rosters are standard Gallardo Cup rosters minus the bench. So we're each going to be making 15 picks of any player in Major League history, dating all the way back to the early days. It's going to be a lot of fun. Any questions before we get going?
No, but just to give everybody who may not remember the Gallardo Cup settings or for some reason are not in the Gallardo Cup, it is catcher, first base, second base, third base, shortstop, 3 outfielders, a utility spot, 5 starting pitchers, and a reliever, including Phil Koch.
Yes.
Including Phil Koch.
Yes.
Including Phil Koch. But yeah, to quote the great Cam Kane, let's get boogie oogieing on this.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's going to
Oh.
be a snake draft. Zane, Sahil, Can is the order, and then it's going to snake back. So Zane, you are on the clock. Who are you taking?
All right. With the first overall pick, if I'm going to go by fantasy categories, are we doing Gallardo Cup like on base percentage or?
Yes.
On base percentage. I'm thinking since quality start data is kind of hard to find going back, I'm just kind of using wins as a proxy for that.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Let's go with 2001 Barry Bonds in the outfield.
Ooh.
2001 Barry Bonds.
So the 2001 Barry Bonds season, for those of you who are listening and do not have it in front of you, that was the one where he hit 73 home runs, led the league, 13 stolen bases, 515 OBP, 129 runs, and
137 RBIs, which is funny because he had 73 home runs, but there were so few guys on base for him on average that his RBI total's less than you would expect for that sheer total.
yeah.
That is a fun pick. That's the Barry Bonds season I identified as being his best. We were kind of talking off air. Do we take his 40-40 season? Do we take the 73 home run season, or do you take the 609 on base percentage season? This is kind of the one I would have taken if I was taking a Barry Bonds season, though.
Yeah, interestingly, this is the highest in the O WAR category. This is the highest there, at 118.0. But his WRC plus in 2002 is actually 9 points higher. He jumped from 235 to 244 because he cut his strikeout rate in half from 14% to 7%, while raising his walk percentage from 19% to almost 27%, with a lot of those being intentional, obviously.
God, Barry Bonds. What have you played without a bat? Am I right?
Yeah, for
That
real.
video.
Yeah.
All right, Sahil,
That's
you
a
up?
classic.
Yes, I am up. With no disrespect to Zane, I think I am taking by far the best player, and that is Babe Ruth's 1921 season.
Ooh,
Let me tell you where Babe Ruth's
pick.
1921 season ranks all time. He is third in runs scored all time that season with 177. He has the 17th highest OBP with a 512. That wasn't even his highest OBP season. He had a 530, or he had a 545 in 1923 and a 532 in 1920. He had the ninth most home runs in a single season. He had 59 that year. He was ninth in RBIs with 168. He also had 44 doubles, which is a very solid number given that category for us. And then 17 stolen bases, two just to chip in as well. So I just, I thought that was by far the best individual season. Now, Bonds was the second outfielder on my board. And his 2001 season is also very good, and I would have loved to have had it. But Babe Ruth was just absolutely insane. I wonder if he pitched any that year. I didn't even check. He pitched. He started one game and then pitched in another. He had a 9 ERA, and that was the last time he pitched until 1930. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Nice pick. I actually have a self-imposed challenge that I have put on my team, which I probably should have introduced before my first pick, but I have decided to come in here and only use post-World War II seasons. So I wanted to give myself an arbitrary kind of cutoff where either my dad has watched these players or has told me about what my grandpa / my mom shared my grandpa talking about players that they've seen. So I just kind of chose, I'm on Razzball, for example. If you're looking at the player rater, it does a 1947 to 2019 category. So I will be ignoring Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth. You guys can really load up on Yankees if you choose to.
We can. And I am that's a very interesting way to go about it. I am definitely not doing that, and that's going to be made very evident by my first pick. And I think this is no disrespect to you guys. I think this was the clear number one all along. I am taking 1884 Old Hoss Radburn.
Damn.
59 wins or 60, depending on which source you used. 138 ERA, 0.92 WHIP, 441 strikeouts. I mean, this season is a cheat code. It is unfair, and I got him third overall.
Yeah.
I considered him. I didn't think that he was going to go this early, but yeah, he is a cheat code. Yikes! I mean, he pitched 678 and 2/3 that season. Could you imagine like Clayton Kershaw doing that right now? That's like 5 Clayton Kershaw seasons in one of innings pitched. And he did that with a better ERA than Clayton Kershaw's ever put up in a season. Or I mean, any pitcher in this era, just name them. That's nuts. That's a great pick, Cam.
It is. And for my second pick, I'm torn between a couple guys, but I think I am going to take 1927 Lou Gehrig.
Oh,
175 RBI, 474 on base, 52 doubles, 47 homers, 149 runs. I think this This is an incredible season. This is the best hitting season by a non-outfielder ever. And I think I'm very happy to have gotten those two at the turn.
All right.
Mhm.
I like that for you. Oh man, you are really making this tough on us, Cam. But
Oh, you could have taken those guys.
no,
I'm
I
gonna
know.
win the 47 onward category.
I have to say I do think Babe Ruth was the best hitter. So I guess for me it was the best hitter, the best pitcher. I think there's a little more debate for the best pitcher. And as a matter of fact, I wonder if I should take one of them here. Yeah,
Hip fire. No, I'm kidding. This is Gallardo Cup now.
I do have to say the pitching is tough because you could put emphasis on different categories. Ditto with the hitting. Cam, you really threw a wrench in my plans here. I didn't think people were going to go pitching this early.
You could throw a wrench in Zane's plans by taking someone post World War II.
I'm considering going post World War II.
You have to show support for your boy and take Pete Alonso. He's top 25 in home runs for his 2019 season. Late draft sleeper.
Late draft sleeper. I do love me some Pete Alonso. I also apparently Eugenio Suarez is the most home runs by an NL third baseman. Which I had a really hard time believing. But here we are. All right. I have my pick. So Cam, you picked who was it again? Old Haas.
Old Haas.
So what I like about Old Haas is that he pitched 632 in the third innings. That's just insane. What Old Haas is not going to do for you, and I forget which Old Haas, he said 84?
84.
Yeah. I think you might have picked the best Old Haas season.
I did, but this was back when pitchers only had one good season and then their arms fell off.
Well, yeah.
I wonder why.
Yeah, if you're gonna pitch that many innings, you really are. But I'm gonna go with another pitcher who I think was just as much fun. And maybe didn't pitch as many innings, but the ERA is a lot lower, and that is I am picking Walter Johnson, and I am picking Walter Johnson's 1910 season, where he had a 136 ERA with a 0.91 WHIP. He had 38 complete games, 8 shutouts. He chipped in a save, which is always fun.
Hey.
And he won 25 games. So 1910 Walter Johnson as the anchor of my rotation to go with Babe Ruth. I feel good about that pick.
So that's interesting because I thought when I did my digging, I thought the 1913 was the best Walter Johnson season.
Wait. I think I had 1913 written down and then said 1913 or 1910. Crap.
You pulled a Cam.
You pulled a Cam.
Khalil Watson. Khalil Watson.
Yeah, you know what? Give me the. Can I was reading the wrong name. Can I just say?
Yeah, no pressure. No pressure.
Right. Yes, I did pull a Cam. Give me 1913. Walter Johnson.
114 ERA.
Just bonkers. If Cam's gonna win strikeouts, I'm gonna win ERA.
Does EBO have to bullpen it again? Oh God, give me 1 second. I just want to confirm. my pick for I guess I'm at the turnaround, so I get to.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of pressure on me because there's like I feel like I have to make a pick so often. It's like with you all, at least there's kind of like a little bit of a break.
Yeah, that's true.
No, it's all good though. This makes me so happy. While we're waiting, I will say, Cam, that Lou Gehrig was the second hitter on my board, but I did have a different Lou Gehrig season in mind.
Interesting. Which season did you
It was
have?
1931 season.
Let me take a look at that one.
I have mine when you guys are ready.
Go for it. God,
yeah,
that
go
35, that 31 season's really good too. The OBP was about 30 points lower. So that's the thing. But yes, absolutely. And he hit the thing about 27 is he hit 52 doubles.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about the doubles. Yeah. Okay. That might have been a slightly better season for our kind of standings.
All right, Zane, fire it away.
All right. So I have both of mine for the turnaround here. First and foremost, I want to take. Basically, I want him to be kind of the swag factor of this team. He was the 70s version of the swag factor. 1976 NL MVP Joe Morgan.
Ooh, nice pick.
113 runs, 27 homers, 111 RBIs, and 60 stolen bases. Because I like to win steals.
All right, Eric.
And then with my other selection, there were two pitchers that I was strongly going between for this one, because obviously I'm kind of giving myself an arbitrary limit. However, there are some old timer stats that I'm just not going to keep up with. And I want to be able to hit something well. So we're going to go with, surprisingly, not the 1999 season, but Pedro Martinez's 2000 season.
I love
Boston
that
Red
pick.
Sox.
Great pick.
0.74 whip with 284 strikeouts. I'm trying to keep the rates efficient here.
Great season.
Great. Yeah, Pedro was on my board. I absolutely wanted him. I think that's a great picks. All right. So Zane, you picked Joe Morgan, who was the number one not the number one second baseman on my board. Sorry. He was the number 2 second baseman on my board. I also had his 1976 season written down.
I bet I can guess who you have as your number 1 second baseman.
I think it's very obvious.
Want to say it?
Do you have Roger Hornsby down?
I do. Roger Hornsby's 1922 season. He won the Triple Crown that year.
Yeah.
Let me pull up all the stats because it's
crazy. What was his average that season? Was it 424?
That was not his 424 season.
That was the 1924 season. That's right.
The reason I didn't pick that was because he only had 25 homers and 94 ribbies that season. His 1922 season, he had 42 homers, 152 ribbies. So of second baseman, like 42 home runs is one of the tops. I think Marcus Semien this year hit like 41. He came close to it, but didn't quite top Hornsby. 46 doubles, 141 runs, a 459 OBP. I feel like Hornsby and Morgan were the 2 second basemen I was targeting. I think there's a bit of a drop off after that. So Hornsby as my second baseman, I feel very good filling that position there.
I think that is a great pick. You took the best at a thin position, and I am going to take the best at another thin position, which is third base.
Ooh.
I am taking 2007 A-Rod.
Ooh.
143 runs, 156 RBI, 54 homers. He also stole 24 bases, which is going to be very clutch. 422 on base. I think there's not as much of a drop-off as there is at second base, but I think there's a very big drop-off at third base, especially with the stolen bases. There is no other 6 category contributor like 2007 A-Rod.
Great sell on it as well.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
And with my 4th pick. I'm the only person who doesn't have an outfielder yet, so I'm going to go ahead and take the best all-time season in one of our categories. That category being RBI. I'm taking Hack Wilson's 1930 season with 191 runs driven in. But he also had a 454 on base. He scored 146 times. He hit 56 homers. I think this is the third best outfield season on the board, and he's on my team now.
I had him as my number 3 outfielder because of the RBIs, but also he was tied for 17th in homers or single season homers. So great pick. I also like the A-Rod pick. His 2007 season was on my board for sure. And also his 98 season at shortstop was a player I was potentially looking at.
Me too.
So I like that for you. But it kind of leads me to a little bit of a tricky decision here.
Guys, we have to do a football version of this so that I can draft OJ.
Yeah, so we will. I promise you.
We're gonna draft the all murder team.
Ray Lewis.
Sahil, any response?
Hey, he didn't kill anybody. That's fake news.
Bold statements here on the pitcher or the hitter.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's always a good time to remind people of this friendly reminder that Aaron Hernandez still has not been suspended from the NFL.
Any day now.
Commissioner Goodell, get on it.
Oh man. All right. So I'll say this. If Cam wants to be the guy who is going to dominate in strikeouts, then I'm going to be the guy who dominates in something else, and that's ERA. I'm going to take the 11th best ERA season ever, and among pitchers who pitched at least 200 innings, the third best, that's Bob Gibson's 1968
good
season.
pick.
Only 268 strikeouts, and I say only, but he had a 112 ERA, 13 shutouts. He had a .85 WHIP. He was an all-star, won the Cy Young, won the MVP. Oh, and he also won the Gold Glove at pitcher in 304 2/3 innings. Just that goes well with the what was the ERA? I said that Walter Johnson had
114.
114. Yeah, that's yeah. Give me Bob Gibson all the way, baby.
Great pick.
Thank you. Yeah, also have to steal one of Zane's early guys. I didn't want to just pick a bunch of late guys. As kind of broken as some of those stats are, it is fun to also pick some of these players that I might have a little more of a recollection of and or can actually watch old tapes of, unlike 1927 Lou Gehrig, or maybe there's some stuff out there.
Yeah. Well, I would like to take this opportunity to wipe off any chance of you guys catching up in home runs. So at the turnaround here, we are going to take, drum roll please, 2 seasons from the year during which I was born. First, we are going to go with Mark McGwire's 1998 season, and we are also going to go with Sammy Sosa's 1998 season. We're going to actually add 18 steals on that Sosa season too. So total of 136 home runs combined between the two. In 3 picks, we have amassed, what is that? 199 home runs between 3 hitters.
Good Lord.
Oh man. I love that so much.
I ignored Joe Morgan, but yeah, we have the top 3 home run seasons now. And the next one, we have to jump down to number 7 for 49 and onward. And Yeah, the Sosa and McGuire have 2 through 6.
Oh, great picks. All right. So the next player I'm gonna take is also known for his speed. And I wanted to pair him with Hack Wilson's 1930 season because I thought that would be kind of like if you put these two players together, these two seasons, it would be by far the best season of all time.
Yeah.
This is an older player, the first player I'm drafting from the 1800s, although his ghost reappeared in the 2000s, and that's 1894 Billy Hamilton.
Oh my God, King.
He scored the most runs in a single season. He had the 13th highest OBP in a single season. He had, you want to guess how many stolen bases? 100 stolen bases. Exactly. On the season. And he still put up a respectable
Billy Hamilton.
Yeah. Love him. He put up a respectable 90 RBI too. So basically nothing in the power department. But it's worth it. To get Billy Hamilton as my second outfielder, and I am just going to dominate you all with speed.
Yeah, good choice. I am going to, that inspired me to take a speedy outfielder who I think is going to contribute in more categories than Billy Hamilton, and that is 1911 Ty Cobb.
Oh, okay. He was on my board, but not
the 83 steals, 47 doubles, 147 runs, 127 ribbies, 467 on base. I think he's a perfect guy to pair with Hack Wilson, get me back in the mix in steals. Home runs is looking like a lost cause, so he's not going to hurt me there, even though he's only going to be contributing 8 of those. So 1911 Ty Cobb. And I should probably pair him with the starting pitcher. And that starting pitcher, let's go. Let's continue my 1884 rotation. Let's go with Guy Hecker. 385 Ks, 52 wins, 0.87 whip, 1.8 ERA. Guy Hecker.
I like that. I will say quickly on the point of Billy Hamilton versus Ty Cobb, because Ty Cobb was also on my board. Billy Hamilton had 50 more runs, but he had 22 less doubles, 4 less homers. He did have 17 more stolen bases, and his OBP was 60 points higher. So I think those are both really solid seasons. I think Ty Cobb is obviously the better player in baseball history, but boy, I mean, both of those just had broken seasons for our setup. But I think now might be the time to do this, just to ensure that I lock up speed. Let me confirm here, because there's a couple of these I could go with.
Hip fire.
No, I know the player. It's just like there's like 3 good seasons I could choose from. You know what? I'm gonna choose, and this might be a little bit of a one category play, but I don't even care because he's definitively gonna win me this category. 1982 Ricky Henderson.
Good pick.
He had 130 stolen bases that year and only finished 10th in the MVP race. The next season, he had 108 and only finished 24th. There was another Ricky season I considered. That was his 1990 season. He had a little higher of an OBP by like 30 points roughly. He only had 18 more homers, but he only had half as many stolen bases. And like, if my goal here is to just dominate in stolen bases, like I was considering all those Ricky seasons, but just pairing Billy Hamilton and Ricky Henderson, I think pretty much locks stolen bases up for me, in addition to like some of the chip in steals I'm going to get from these other guys I'm drafting. So if Zane's going to dominate power, and if Cam's going to try to compete with me in speed, I might as well take like the 2 best base stealers of all time, and Billy Hamilton and Ricky Henderson.
Interesting picks.
Yeah, those are good picks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with me back at the turnaround, there is one pick that I know that I wanted to make, and that is 1997 Larry Walker with his 49 home runs and 33 stolen bases to pair with his 366 average and 130 RBIs and 143 runs. Colorado, baby. It's like the best Colorado season.
Hashtag cores.
All right. And now that I got my Rocktober on in this draft, I think I want to turn back towards pitching. I was actually considering this one quite a while ago. Yeah. Okay. Now, I actually don't know why this one came to mind for me before Bob Gibson's 1968. I'm going to give Pedro Martinez a fellow ace in the rotation as somebody who grew up watching Verlander and Scherzer pitch together. And I will take 1965 Sandy Koufax with his 382 strikeout season in which he posted a 0.85 whip.
Good pick.
Good
I
pick.
almost took him as my first starting pitcher off the board and then decided to just really commit to the ERA.
Yeah.
But that's hard to pick against that season. That was 174 ERA?
Let's see.
Or wait, which one of his seasons is you have 65?
Yeah, 65, 204 ERA, 0.85 whip. I actually tended toward the lower whip of the two because the strikeouts with the whip are just, I can't find that anywhere else.
No, I don't blame you. Yeah, I feel like once Cam really committed to that strikeout strategy, I just figured I'd punt it. But I mean, boy, that 1965 Koufax season is bonkers. I can't imagine a pitcher striking out 382 guys today. Like, if that ever happened again.
It wasn't super long ago. I mean, that was the point where I know a lot of like my parents and my friends' parents, a lot of them were like toddlers at the time, and the equivalent for me would be Pedro Martinez's 2000 season.
Yes. So 18 pitchers since 1900 have reached 300 strikeouts in a season, and the most recent was actually Garrett Cole with Houston.
Yeah, in 2019.
Yeah, there have been 4 300 strikeout seasons in the 2010 decade, including Scherzer, Kershaw, and Sale. So I guess it's 382 is very different from 300, but I guess like that 300 mark gets crossed more often than I think. I think I might also be a little biased from just looking at the past couple seasons with COVID and 20 and then 2021 kind of being that weird ramp up, but also not wanting to put guys at full strength season. So
yeah,
Koufax is a great pick. I love that Koufax pick. I have so many tabs open of so many like old player pages right now. Do I go pitcher or position player?
The pitcher or the hitter?
Yes, the age-old question that will never get answered. I'm basically debating between 2 seasons of a player. And all right, with my next pick, I'm picking a Detroit Tiger legend. I'm going with Hank Greenberg's 1937 season.
Hank Greenberg.
Yeah, and let me tell
Good
you
pick.
why I'm going with Hank Greenberg's 1937 season. He had 184 RBIs that season. That is the second most behind that Hack Wilson season, I believe, or in the top 3. I need to double check that. If you want to fact check that, Cam, or I can fact check it.
I'll take your word for it.
All right, take my word for it. That's what I like to hear. He had a 436 OBP, 40 home runs, 8 steals. It's a nice chip in, and 137 runs. I'll take that. He was only finished in 3rd in the MVP race that year, and I'm really curious who finished above him. It was Joe DiMaggio and Carly Gehringer, his teammate, who had 14 home runs and 11 steals. So not as fantasy friendly of a season, I would say. But yeah, give me some Hank Greenberg.
All right. Hank Greenberg. I am going to add another name to my rotation. And I think I've already got strikeouts locked up. So this is going to be a guy who does not have 380 strikeouts like my previous guys, but he's got quite a bit lower ERA and he's still got 31 wins. That is 1915 Pete Alexander.
Oh,
yeah.
Last
241 Ks, 122 ERA, 084 whip. I think he's a great pitcher, and he is by far the youngest pitcher on my team, that 1915 Pete.
That's a great pick.
All right. And with my second pick, I'm going to take what I think is the last disgusting outfield season. Just absurd, off the wall. And that is another 1930 season, Chuck Klein.
Oh.
59 doubles. So that really locks that category up. 170 runs driven in, 436 on base, 152 runs scored. This guy is just a fantasy monster in every category except for steals.
I like that for you. All right. So because I'm a little concerned that Cam is going to start sniping me on somebody's starting pitchers that I really like, I'm going to take Christy Matheson. And his 1908 season, he actually pitched 390 and 2/3 innings with 259 strikeouts. He had a 143 ERA, which for this team is a little high, but identical whip to his 1909 season where he pitched 115 less innings with 0.29 less. You know what? I'm going to go with his 1909 season because he still pitched almost 300 innings. But the advantage of that season is the ERA is just so low. And I know that Cam would win strikeouts in a hypothetical matchup anyway. But like Christy Mathewson's 1.14 ERA is, I have these single season ERA guys up here. Of guys who pitch 200 innings or more, he is fourth. So yeah, give me 1909 Christy Matheson. Zane is on the clock.
I got my pick already, baby.
Oh, I love this.
Okay. So I already have 3 outfielders. However, there's one guy that's just been staring at me, begging me to pick him. And that is 1949 Ted Williams with his 150 run season. Second best since 1947 to only Jeff Bagwell's 2000 season. But I would rather have Teddy Ballgame and have any other season of his off of consideration for everybody else. Because we all have first baseman. Everyone loves a good first baseman. But that might be a good one for a utility if somebody goes for that runs route. I could see how that would appeal to Sahil's team.
Yeah, I love that pick for you.
And then give me 1 sec for the second one. While I continue down the route of home runs and RBIs, there's a lot less depth with these when you look at positions like third base or shortstop, hence the 07 A-Rod pick being a wonderful move. I am going to go for one of my dad's favorite childhood players, which is interesting because he played for a rival. 1969 MVP, AL MVP, Harmon Killebrew, with 49 home runs and 140 RBIs with third base eligibility.
Oh, I love that. He, man, Harmon Killebrew played like a lot of places, didn't he? A lot of different positions. I feel like he bounced around all over the place.
I know he played first base and outfield.
Yeah, I think that might have been it. But even like how many Hall of Famers do you see that are playing like multiple positions? I mean, I guess like Johnny Bench off the top of my head, and not even like multiple positions. Like Willie Mays played some first base at the end of his career, but actually like consistently got playing time at a bunch of these positions.
Yeah, that's hard to tell.
Also wild to think that I guess he didn't really play full time in the majors until 1959 when he was 23, but Killebrew took some at bats in the majors when he was 18.
Wow.
Wild to think. But great pick. Speaking of third baseman, you all might think of him as a first baseman, but
I know who this is going to be.
he did play. Let's see if it is. He did play 23 games.
Nope, not who I was thinking.
At third base the season before, which would have made him eligible at third base the year when he did play. And this is 1932 Jimmy Fox. 58 home runs.
What a season.
169 RBIs, a 469 OBP, 151 runs, 3 steals, nothing to write home about, but he did win the MVP that year at the ripe age of 24. His 1938 season was also a consideration where he had 50 homers and 175 RBIs. He won the MVP that year, but I think ultimately the 1932 season was just a little better. He fits in nicely at third base. It's funny. When I selected Greenberg for first base, I was like, damn, like I thought there was somebody else I was considering for that position. I was like, oh wait, it was Jimmy Fox. And then I remembered, wait, I had him slotted as my third baseman. But yeah, awesome season by Jimmy Fox. No complaints here.
Yeah, no, that's a good pick. That might have been the best hitting season left. Great job getting him this late in the draft. And I'm in a bit of a tough spot here. But no one has yet taken a shortstop.
Or a catcher.
Or a catcher. And I am going to take the shortstop now. The question is, there are a lot of good shortstops. But I'm going to take the one who scored 159 runs with a 444 on base percentage. That is 1895 Huey Jennings.
Classic. Take me back.
Take me back. Huey Jennings drove in 125 runs. He stole 53 bases. I believe he played for the original Baltimore Orioles.
Oh, that's a nice.
He did. Yeah. Huey Jennings, 1895. He only hit 4 homers, but I've already got a Ty Cobb with 8 homers. I think I'm kind of sort of punting homers at this point. And with my second pick, you know what? I'm going to go bold here. And I am going to, with the amount of innings of my starting pitchers I'm going to have under my belt, ERA is basically set. There's no way that's going to be hurt. There's no way strikeouts is going to be moved. So I'm going to take the highest save single season of all time and lock up that category. That is K-Rod 2008.
Great pick. I was like, if I didn't get K-Rod early to lock up saves, I was just going to wait. Although I do wonder if some of my starting pitchers have enough like chip-in saves in some of those years where I might be able to like add enough like Christy Matheson in 1909 had 2, for example. Bob Gibson didn't have any. Sandy Koufax in that 382 strikeout season had 2. So maybe there's room for somebody. That's
true, but maybe Guy Hecker had a save as well.
That is the flip side. Yeah. Weird to see you taking I guess you've now taken 2 players who played past 1930, and that's A-Rod in 07 and K-Rod in 08.
A-Rod and K-Rod. Baby.
Yeah.
I've got 2 players from 1930, 2 players from 1884. I've got I don't know. It's a classic team. What can I say?
It's a classic team. What can I say? I do agree with that. I'm going to confirm my next pick here. Give me a second. I feel like you all are really going to like this one. Obviously, one of the most important positions on the diamond. We couldn't do this without our catcher.
Yeah.
All right, Yuki.
That's a great comment.
Yuki button activate. Grayson Grinder's smiling somewhere.
God, I love that he's a Diamondback. Oh, that Diamondback catcher room is going to be so great.
Yuki recommended the Diamondbacks.
Are you taking Sean Murphy here?
God, no, don't even make me think about Sean Murphy ever again. But I'm not taking the catcher y'all I think I'm taking. I'm not taking Cam's guy.
You don't know who my guy is.
So I'm not taking Johnny Bench, who I think
that wasn't. I mean, he's my guy in general, but he's like the third or fourth catcher on my board.
Wow, really? Okay, because I thought he might be one of the top catchers on your board. I'm also now realizing that Jimmy Fox played some catcher, which is wild to me, but I'm not gonna get too far down the rabbit hole here. With my pick, I am taking 1997 Mike Piazza.
Good pick.
Hey, Piazza time.
I think he's the best catcher. I really wanted to get somebody more recent because I think that's more fun. I think Zane's a little right on that point. Bench has the advantage in home runs and RBIs from his 1970 season, which I was considering. His 1972 season, interestingly, the same number of home runs, but only one more RBI. The difference between Bench and Piazza, to me, from a fantasy perspective, is Piazza's OBP. He had a 431 OBP. 5 stolen bases is nice, 104 runs, 32 doubles. I'll take all that. Second in the MVP that year. I feel like, kind of given my emphasis on some of these other high OBP guys, I think this is a nice fit, solid, home run contribution from this group. And he was the top catcher on my board. So I am very happy to add 1997 Mike Piazza.
Great pick.
Thanks.
Let's follow it up with, which one do I want? Oh, they're both so close, but 2001 Randy Johnson.
Ooh, he was on my board. I like that.
249 ERA, 101 whip, 372 strikeouts. Obviously, I can't compete with pre-1947 numbers, but in my own little fantasy world, it is kind of fun to think about the top 3 guys here in a rotation together. Pedro Martinez, Sandy Koufax, and Randy Johnson. 2 of them were taken from the same couple of years, aren't we?
Absolutely insane.
All right.
Insane.
So here's where I'm at. I want one of these Nolan Ryan seasons.
Ooh,
but
yes.
You don't want to take on the whip of Nolan Ryan. However, 1972 California Angels. Nolan Ryan should have won MVP, should have won Cy Young that year. 329 strikeouts. Definitely not even in his top 5. No, it's number 4 for him. It's not in his top 3 strikeout seasons. However, it's his nicest balance of controlling his walks and managing the high strikeout totals that he ever had. So 228 ERA, 114 whip, 329 strikeouts. And now we are out of top 10 strikeout seasons post 1960 or 1947.
Man.
Damn.
Good stuff.
Good stuff indeed. All right. So with my next pick here, Cam likes to think that he's going to be able to come back in ERA. What I don't think he realizes is that we are dealing with such small differentials at this point that they actually kind of make a big deal. So old Haas Radburn, I'm not going to deny the strikeouts, but that 1.379 ERA in 678 and 2/3 innings, the just that sheer number of innings with that ERA, fantastic, but it's not going to be able to get him down, even with some of these other guys, to the like 1-1-2, 1-1-4, 1-1-4 that Bob Gibson, Christy Mathewson, and Walter Johnson have. And I feel confident enough in that to say that I'm going to take a little bit of a fun pick here that has a slightly higher ERA, but like I do think with like Radburn's ERA and with who else did Cam pick ERA wise that I think is going to hurt him?
I took Guy Hecker and his horrible 1.8 ERA.
Guy Hecker and Pete Alexander. Thank you. This makes me feel even better because I forgot about Guy Hecker when I said that. I think this man is pitching in Major League Baseball. You can't tell a story of pitching without Cy Young. And Cy Young had a 1.26 ERA in 300 innings in his 1908 season. At the age of 41. Believe that? 1908 Cy Young. I mean, you know what? Just for fun, who won the Cy Young exactly 100 years later in 2008? Do either of you know that off the top of your head? You want to guess?
In 2008?
Yeah. AL and NL.
NL would have been Lincecum in his first of two.
Yes.
And AL would that have been Felix? Was that his year?
Now, Zane, want to take a guess before I reveal it?
Let me think on it.
Felix was not in the top 7, or I guess
I think 09 was Felix's Cy Young year.
No, it wasn't.
I feel like 08 was kind of a transitional year. So was it somebody that like moved teams quickly after?
Yes.
Cliff Lee.
Yes.
Ooh, good.
Yes. Yeah, I think the move teams afterwards was a pretty big giveaway with 08. But yeah, Cliff Lee, future team Roy Halladay was second, but Cam did get Tim Lincecum, so nice job for Cam. All right. Speaking of Cam, it is finally his pick.
Finally, am I right?
Yes, Mr. Bev. Who are you picking?
I'm going to take another starting pitcher. That will be my fourth starting pitcher, and that is going to be Ed Walsh, 1908 Ed Walsh. 142 ERA, 086 WHIP, 40 wins. The strikeouts 269. Ed Walsh gonna get that ERA down a little bit, get 40 more wins under my belt. I like that pick a lot for myself. And for my second pick, and this was kind of a tricky one. Let's go with a third 1930 outfielder. Let's go with Al Simmons, 1930 season. I don't know what was in the water in 1930, but Al Simmons scored 152 runs. He hit 41 homers. He drove in 165 runs. He had a 423 on base percentage. Just those runs and RBIs. I think I'm going to win that category by a landslide, and Al Simmons is going to help.
Fun pick.
Yeah, for sure.
I now have 2 different pitchers from 08, but different 08s.
I love that so much. Did you know there's a player called Orval Overall?
Orval Overall, yeah.
These
were the Cubs at the turn of the century.
I was not aware of that. That's cool. All right. I think I have the player. I just need to determine which year because there's so many good years. And I don't think I would go wrong with any of these years, but here's this page. All right. And continuing with my theme of speed, and also just because I couldn't tell you if this is the best remaining shortstop season. What I can tell you is that you could make an argument that this is one of the best shortstops of all time, if not the best. And I just think he's a really cool player. It is 1908 Hannes Wagner.
Great pick.
Yeah, 53 stolen bases. Thank you. 109 RBIs. Very solid. He had 39 doubles, 100 runs, a 415 OBP. I don't think he's the best or most impactful hitter on my team. I'm not prepared to say that, but what I am prepared to say is I think he is a lot of fun. I think he is one of the best shortstops, if not the best shortstop of all time. And I'm very happy to have him on my team. Also, interestingly now, in addition to Cam having 208 drafted players, I have 208 drafted players now too. And they were my 11th and 12th round pick, and they were Cam's 10th and 11th round pick. So 1908 players have been picked in this draft.
Great season. All right, guys. I'm also taking my shortstop right here. With my limitation, my options were a little more limited. I considered going with a sleeper, actually. I was strongly considering one of Howard Johnson's two best seasons between 89 and 91, because he was able to provide near 40-40 production at shortstop. But ultimately, I settled with 1958 NL MVP Ernie Banks with 47 home runs, 129 RBIs, a 313 average, and 119 runs. A-Rod would be basic. If you don't have A-Rod or Ernie Banks for a post 1947 team, there really aren't a ton of great options. I would probably go with one of Howard Johnson's seasons if I was closed out at this point, but that's going to be who I go with for shortstop.
Good pick, Ernie Banks.
Great pick. I had Ernie Banks in consideration at shortstop as well.
Now I have starting pitcher, catcher, and relief pitcher to fill out with these final picks. I think I'm going catcher to end everything. That's not for certain, but I don't know. Wow, I did not know that 1999 Pudge stole 25 bases.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
My God. I recently learned that Jason Kendall was actually kind of a base stealer, and I had no idea about that.
Yeah.
That blew my mind.
I love catchers that steal. That's my kink. Oh, speaking of my kink, 1995 San Diego Padre Brad Ausmus stole 16 bases.
Are you serious? I would not have picked Brad Ausmus as a base stealer.
Number 32 amongst catcher seasons, dating back to 1903. Well,
what's number one? Do you have that up?
Number one is Craig Biggio.
Yeah.
1992, 38 stolen bases. Number two is John Wathan in 1982 for Kansas City, stole 36 bases, hit 3 home runs that year.
God, if I was so committed to just building a stolen base juggernaut, which I think I did with Hamilton and Henderson in the outfield, I 100% would have drafted Craig Biggio.
Yeah, that's so funny. All right, I'm probably going to grab my number 5 starter right now. I've been back and forth on. Oh, okay. I have a kind of fun pick for who I'll take for that. So, no, it actually doesn't really fit well against 2 older teams. So if this was everybody was limited to the past 70 years in baseball, I think that Denny McClain's 31 win season would be a no-brainer. However, wins are not even part of the equation when 60 win seasons are on the table. So with that in mind, let me take a different approach. Let me go back to my old tried and true whip approach. I'm I'm looking through here. I'm getting a lot of closers. Not any surprise there. There are a couple seasons that were derailed by injury, but otherwise make really interesting choices. I know who I want to take. Now I just want to choose the right season.
That's always the hardest part. I feel like there's just so many damn good seasons from some of these players.
And I want to choose with my heart sometimes, but I also know that sometimes choosing with my heart is not the right move to get optimal fantasy results. Speaking of which, my final selection for my rotation, everything in my heart wants me to take Justin Verlander's 2011 MVP season. However, Justin Verlander only struck out about 9 batters per 9, 1 batter per inning during that run. In 2019, meanwhile, with the Houston Astros, he struck out more guys, he walked fewer batters, and he definitely gave up more home runs. But all in all, the fantasy profile is a lot more appealing. The ERA is very, very close. He had a 2.40 ERA in 2011. He had a 2.50 ERA in 2019. It looks like he put more innings in 2011 actually as well, but the strikeouts still don't catch up. So I'm going to go with 2019 Justin Verlander.
Yes.
Good
I
pick.
love that for you. I knew you wanted to. I knew a Tiger was going to slip on this list somewhere. I just didn't know where. I thought
actually, I'm sorry. I have to do 2011. I can't throw Astro Verlander. The more I talked it out, the more I realized how close it really was. And even though I think the 19 season's a bit more appealing for the strikeout profile, I'll take the slightly lower ERA of 2011 Verlander.
Can't argue with that. No, he was awesome that year. So I wasn't going to do this now, but like, I don't actually think it matters the way the picks have been made, but Zane gave me a nice transition to who I want to take with my next pick. It is a little bit of a homer pick. And in fact, it is a homer pick, but it also serves a really strong purpose for my team. It is 2016 Zach Britton.
Let's go. Great.
Pick.
Thank you. And the reason I'm taking 2016 Zach Britton is to continue with my ERA theme. He had a 0.54 ERA that year, a 0.83 whip. I've pretty much locked up the lowest ERA and whip, I feel like. Maybe not whip, maybe whip's up for discussion a little bit, but 47 saves, I'll take that. That's not going to match K-Rod 62, but definitely a solid season there. I'm not going to win strikeouts with this build. I'm not going to win saves. I think I can win ERA and possibly whip. I don't even know about holds. I feel like holds is just this like mystical creature that is just probably isn't really going to exist for this build. And I work like wins as a proxy. I wasn't really thinking of wins as like a real category I needed to pay a ton of attention to. Breaking news: the Yankees sign Anthony Rizzo. By the way,
oh
man,
at least
he'll be mediocre in a couple of years. That's a Yankee signing.
Yeah, I'm just glad they didn't get Freddie Freeman. I'm really bummed he didn't go back to the Braves, and I just did not want him to sign with an AL East team. I'm hoping he signs with the Dodgers, but yeah, I like to think that of the like 4 categories here that I'm kind of counting, like ERA, whip, saves, and well, I'm already forgetting our other category, strikeouts. I can win 2 of them.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll get holds? Do you think any of us have any holds on our team?
I would not be. So the problem is with a lot of these older pitchers is I don't feel like holds was a category back then. So unless they've gone back and like retroactively added holds, I doubt we're gonna ever really figure out.
I don't see that. Yeah.
I can't find holds online or anything.
I wonder if Zach Britton got a hold in the 2016 season or if K-Rod did in the 08 season, which would be hilarious for or if like one of us would technically win with like one hold.
I don't know. But anyway,
I'll search that up while you're making your pick because I'm curious. But yeah, go ahead, Cam. You got two.
All right. I'm going to round out my rotation with maybe the best name in this entire draft. That is 1888 Silver King.
Yes.
I can't say I'd ever heard of Silver King prior to doing the research for this draft. He sounds like, I don't know, a guy who's really good at mining silver.
Yeah.
Or maybe the boss of a bunch of silver miners in 1888. His given name is Charles. I don't know. Well, let's see. Let's look at his SABR bio to see why he's nicknamed Silver. Well, looks like he had silver hair. So there you go. His hair was silvery. Silver King. He is pitcher from the 1880s. He had 45 wins in 1888 with a 1.63 ERA and a 0.87 WHIP. And I like the name a lot. Got to go with the King of Silver.
King of Silver. That's a great name.
And with my second pick, let's go with another high on base guy. Let's go with 1901 Nap Lajoie. Napoleon himself, 145 runs, 125 ribbies, 463 on base. And 27 steals too. I think I've turned into a decent steals team. But really it's the runs and the on base percentage that are what made me pick him here. I mean, he was so good that Cleveland named their team after him. That's got to be worth something.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I didn't know it was pronounced Lajoie.
I don't know if that's right. I think it's Lajoie, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
I'm not either. I thought it was Lajoie, but I feel more confident about the way that you pronounced it because you said it with force.
I've heard all of. Okay. Baseball Reference says it's Lajoie or Lajoie.
Lajoie, so like French.
He went by either of those. Hey, he's from Woonsocket, Rhode Island. That's kind of cool. So is what's his name? Rocco Baldelli.
Rocco Baldelli.
The original Woonsocket Rocket.
I love that. Boy, we're getting towards the end here. It's I could pick so I'll say this. The Bleacher Report put out an article called the 25 best offensive fantasy baseball seasons in MLB history, and we have picked that list completely clean of players. So some of those players are on here multiple times, different seasons, and it's not just one of us dominating this list. Like each of us got a few of these guys, so I am excited to see that.
Where was Old Haas?
It was only hitters. It was offensive. Sorry. I also found a list of most valuable fantasy seasons since 1980, which I think would have been useful for Zane.
Oh my gosh.
It's on Baseball America.
Nice.
This next pick's kind of tough for me because like I have my last starting pitcher, but then a util spot, so I could literally take any hitter that I want. That's remaining. It's a couple interesting seasons by players that I just don't feel like will qualify. Like, do any of you have hitters that you need to take left? Because if not, I'll talk out loud about them.
I need to take a catcher. That's all I need.
I need to take a catcher as well.
All right, both of you just need catchers. So like, I guess the listeners might be interested in hearing some of the other names that like we might have to consider. Like for those of you who are like, oh, what about Mike Trout? Mike Trout's like had a 30-49 season in 2012 at the age of 20, which is just bonkers. but he only had 83 RBIs that year. 129 runs is not as high as some of these players on this list. And again, like, it's like we're nitpicking at this point. He had a 400 OBP, which is kind of like low for this list, which I feel really weird about saying. That's like kind of where we're at. But like he's the type of guy I feel like would just be fun to have on a team. Ditto with Willie Mays. I'm currently reading the book that just came out about Willie Mays last year, and it is a delightful read. I would highly recommend it. But like he had one season that was close to a 40-40, but he only had a 369 OBP that year and 101 runs. So like some of these guys who you just really want to pick are just like not as fantasy viable as you would think. To be clear, like in their years, they'd probably be like number one overall picks, most of these guys. But they're just like, when you're putting some of these seasons from like the late 1800s and early 1900s, like I'd be curious if we did a draft that just kind of did it Zane style, and only considered players after World War II. I think it would be a very different draft, and I think we'd have a lot harder time putting together a list of players. I'm considering two more players here. I
can tell you what, I've got both of mine locked and loaded.
That's putting some pressure on me.
I got my pick locked and loaded too.
I'll be quick. This is what I get for picking in the middle. It's just so hard.
Yeah.
Sometimes you all kind of snipe me, which is annoying, but I forgive both of you. I forgive Can. I was going to say I forgive Zane, not Can. But I guess I forgive both of you now, just because I said that. And I'm going to go with a legend. I really wanted to go with Willie Mays, but
Todd Kelly. Yes. Yes,
it is Don Kelly.
Don Kelly, 2011.
Don Kelly's 2011 season. Yes, I wish.
Just kidding. Don Kelly, 2012. Anyways,
Don Kelly, 2012. I think for Cam's sake, I might pick Chad Muller's 2009 season. But no, I am going with Mickey Mantle's 1956 season.
Ooh, good one.
464 OBP. 52 home runs, 132 runs, 130 RBI, 10 stolen bases to chip in. Not that I really need them with Ricky Henderson and Billy Hamilton, but if we're continuing, I kind of wanted to take some more guys after World War II. I think Zane's kind of on to something. Mickey Mantle was awesome. I hate the fact that he was a Yankee.
He's Yankee Trout.
Yeah, he is Yankee Trout. I will say the other player I was considering at this point was Joe DiMaggio.
He was a finalist for one of my last picks.
Yeah, he had a couple just ridiculously fun seasons here, including his 1937 season, age of 22, where he had a 412 OBP, 46 homers, and 167 RBIs. I hate picking a Yankee, and in fact, I picked multiple Yankees for my outfield. And Ricky Henderson also played for the Yankees. Did Jimmy Fox play for the Yankees?
No, he was Red Sox though.
Red Sox.
Oh my God.
And mostly an A.
At least I picked Zach Britton. I have my one token Oriole, and maybe one of these guys also played for the Orioles, and I'm just not aware of it. I don't think Ricky Henderson ever pitched for the Orioles, but you all pick.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna fire him off real quick.
Yeah.
Johnny Bench, 1970 MVP campaign, leads catcher since 1947 in home runs with 45. And RBIs with 148. Actually, Sal Perez might have broken the home run part. Wait, did he? I don't remember.
Sal Perez did. He did.
Yeah.
Sal Perez now leads in home runs.
That's hilarious.
But with a much worse OBP. So
yeah. So if anybody's wondering, how did Connor do what he did this year? Sal Perez breaking an all-time catcher record that dated back 70 years to the modernization of the game out of nowhere too, because I don't know, I've watched Sal Perez for his entire career. I never expected him to go on a 35 home run season, let alone 47, 40, something in the high 40s. But yeah, Johnny Bench, 1970, I think is the best all-around season for a catcher since 1947. And for my relief pitcher, we have one of the greatest one-year wonder type seasons of all time. Not to say that this pitcher has been poor outside of this year. He's had good seasons besides this, but it's really hard to beat 2018 Edwin Diaz with his 57 saves, tied with Bobby Thigpen with in his 1990 season for second most saves in a single season, his 196 ERA and his .79 whip over 73 innings, which is pretty high for what you'd see from a closer over the past 20 years or so.
That's a great pick. I initially had him on my board as the second saves guy, and then once Cam took K-Rod, I decided to pivot based off the strategy. But yeah, that Edwin Diaz pick is a really good pick. Cam, it's my pick next. Don't try and go. But did you have any comments on Zane's picks?
No, I thought they were good picks.
Thank you. Such a gentleman.
I would have taken Eric Gagne if I was taking a closer here with K-Rod and Britton off the board, but I think Edwin Diaz is good too.
I think Gagne had fewer saves, but I think he had the lower ERA and whip.
His ERA was significantly lower, 120. His whip was a bit lower, fair bit lower, actually, 0.69. Nice. And 2 fewer saves. Honestly, yeah, it would have been very clearly the better pick in the situation.
Love it. I'm going a little off board for this one. I think that I have been doing a lot for the fantasy strategy, and this also helps with that. But I also want to have a little bit of fun with this. And as we all know, recently the MLB announced that player statistics for the Negro Leagues would count for the major leagues as well. And I know I spent quite a bit of time kind of combing through Baseball Reference to see how some of these players have done and how they compare. Obviously, it's not an apples to apples comparison by any stretch of the imagination, but
yeah.
It's really awesome to see these guys, African-American players having, the Negro Leagues be recognized as a legitimate major leagues. That being said, this isn't a traditional kind of pick. He only pitched 87 and 2/3 innings that year, but it qualifies as the second best of all time. It is Satchel Paige's age 37 season, 1944. He had a .72 ERA in the Negro Leagues in 14 starts. I genuinely believe had he had the opportunity to pitch in the major leagues in his prime, he would have been just as good of a pitcher. So I'm not going to knock him for that. But I think I would be remiss if I didn't include someone from the Negro Leagues. I think that this is a really fun pick, and God, I wish I could see this rotation pitch in person. I really wonder how they would do in today's game. I feel like I picked kind of an older rotation, maybe not as old as Cam here. With Bob Gibson and Satchel Paige pitching right at or after World War II. But I guess I have Zach Britton. Who would have thought that Zach Britton would get picked before Mickey Mantle, Johnny Bench, and Satchel Paige?
That's hilarious.
And yeah, I love it. But Cam, you have the last pick.
I do have the last pick. And I guess I just want to say, there are a lot of different strategies for this draft. You can take a lot of recent guys you have memories of. But the other way to do it is to take a bunch of weird, broken 1800s guys. I love 1800s baseball. I love it so much. It's so weird and so fun. So with my last pick, I am taking 1886 King Kelly to catch. He scored 155 runs. He had a 483 on base. One of my favorite baseball stories ever. And I just recently, within the past month, found out that it wasn't true. But basically, I'm going to tell it anyway.
Let's go.
Kelly was he was player manager on his team, whatever team it was, Boston maybe, Providence, wherever. He was currently on the bench. His team was in the field, and there was a high pop up that was headed towards the dugout. And back in those days, there wasn't substitutions could be done on the fly by the man. All the manager had to do was announce who was subbing into the game, and that player was subbed in. So King Kelly sees a pop up coming right towards the dugout, and he calls out, "Kelly now catching," and he catches the ball, and it's an out. But sadly, I found out that story wasn't true. It was maybe the highlight of Ken Burns baseball for me. But I love 1880s baseball. And really that whole decade, it was so weird, so fun. And I'm kind of bookending my draft with guys from that decade. And King Kelly now catching.
I love that. I will say I do like, in addition to us kind of having different strategies from the fantasy perspective of it, I do feel like we were able to kind of cover a wide range of players from different years, thanks to, you really focusing on some of these 1800s players, Cam. I think besides K-Rod and A-Rod, your latest drafted player or your most recent drafted player was 1930 Chuck Klein. I love how Zane drafted a lot of these guys after World War II, and I kind of straddled the line a little bit here with, Ricky Henderson and Mike Piazza, Zach Britton, Mickey Mantle kind of coming out after that line, Bob Gibson too. So these are really fun teams. I wish we could see these teams play in person, because I think it would be absolutely wild. And it's crazy how many Hall of Famers are in baseball. I mean, we didn't even draft. Not all of these players are Hall of Famers, but there are so many like Hall of Famers that were not even included.
It's great. I could maybe simulate this in OTP, get our teams.
Oh, you should. Please do. There are 268 former major league players. We did not draft of our 45 players. They were not all Hall of Famers, but even if we assume that they were, that means that there would have been 223 Hall of Famers that were not drafted by us. So just a crazy list of guys. We could have, imagine a draft if we had just been like, we have to draft every Hall of Famer.
Oh man, that would be fun. I'd feel bad for for Harold Baines for being last one taken. Yeah, he was not on my board, but there were some guys on my board I do want to mention. I'm surprised that 1985 Dwight Gooden was not taken.
Yeah.
He would have maybe been the next pitcher I took. Catcher Roy Campanella would have been my next pick there. 1953. Joe Mauer in 2009 was on my board as well.
He was on mine too.
99 Jeff Bagwell was on my board. Roberto Alomar in 99 was good. Derek Jeter in 99 was one of my top shortstop picks. Al Rosen in 53. Miggy in 2013 at third base, I thought about.
Rosen was on my board if I didn't take Jimmy Fox.
Yeah, and then so many outfielders. 1963 Hank Aaron. 1962 Frank Robinson, 1999 Manny Ramirez, 1929 Mel Ott. Just so many players I wish I could have taken.
Man, I don't even think I opened Hank Aaron's page for this. Hank Aaron's 1963 season, 44 homers, 130 ribbies, 121 runs, and a 391 OBP certainly could have been under consideration, but man, I don't even think I opened his page. I just knew that the stolen bases weren't necessarily there. And
see, the thing is though, Hank Aaron suddenly in 63 he stole 31 bases.
Yeah,
but weirdest thing, 7 or 8 years into his career, he just randomly started stealing a lot of bases.
Yeah, that's true, but he did have he had a 391 OBP with that, and like you are thinking like, what the heck, like a 391 OBP, that's fantastic. But like some of these guys that we picked have like OBPs in like the 450s. above 500. Barry Bonds had a season with a 609 OBP. So like, I was telling Cam this before we recorded. I was listening to a podcast talking about Joey Gallo.
Yeah.
And Joey Gallo in an average league, like last year, he had a sub 200 average. To make up for that and just get back to like a baseline, like 250, 260 average type of deal with him, you'd have to get a guy who batted 320 last year and played most games. And I think one player batted over 320 last year, and that was Trey Turner.
Wow.
So if you had Trey Turner and Joey Gallo, that balances it out, but it's not like then you're getting the best, or you're not getting the added value that Trey Turner gets from the batting average. Alternatively, you need two guys who batted 290, but only 23 guys did that last year. So it's the same thing with OBP. Like a guy at the 390 OBP sounds great in theory, but if you're building a high OBP team, you might need to get a couple of those guys at the 500 plus OBP to really get that back in shape.
All right. Anyone else have anything to say before we go, though? That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have just a couple more names to add that were not drafted. 1997 Ken Griffey Jr. was still on my board.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like you all picked my board pretty clean for the most part. I was never really going to draft him, but just because he had a 40-40 season, 2006 Alfonso Soriano, ironically was one of the first players that Cam mentioned when we started this exercise, where he was, because we were initially going to do full season or just like full careers instead of individual seasons. And I told Cam individual seasons would be better. And his argument was, well, then people would pick Alfonso Soriano. And I was like, that's kind of the point. So yeah, Alfonso Soriano would have been just fun. 1935 Archie Vaughn had a very solid season.
He had like a 490 on base percentage, right?
Yeah, something crazy like that. I need to pull it back up, but he was on my list at shortstop too. If I didn't pick Wagner, I think he might have been the pick. I also had 1920 George Sisler on there, but I think that's somebody who somebody's like stats guys like better as like hey, like if you're lining up like OPS pluses, it might be kind of better on less fantasy kind of relevant, or
that Sisler season is pretty good. 137 runs, 449 on base, 49 doubles. That would be a very, very valid pick.
Yeah, you know what? I think the doubles really helps too. I think doubles is not something I considered as much. But let's see. That was pretty much all the names. I also 98 A-Rod had 07 A-Rod not been taken at third. I think 98 A-Rod or maybe one of the other A-Rod shortstop seasons would have been my pick at shortstop. Sorry, Greg. Zane, was there anybody on your board that was left that didn't get picked, or anybody you want to mention before we sign off here?
Honestly, there are a lot of interesting seasons out there, but I do think that we covered most of the like particularly noteworthy ones just because of our player limit. If we could have taken 7 Babe Ruth seasons, and there are 7 Babe Ruth seasons and Jimmy Fox seasons, that would, if you had a full draft of, let's say 8 to 12 people, you're going to have those spammed. And honestly, that might be something fun to do in that Gallardo Cup kind of like long draft kind of vibe as a long-term project for us. But for this particular draft, I think we really nailed it. I think we did.
Yeah.
And I think that each of us had a really cool nuance on how we did it. So it's not going to be perfect to compare to one another's, but like Cam's team is really a who's who of like, if you really break the system, here are the pitchers from the 19th century that are going to fuck everything up for fantasy. And it's hysterical. My team was kind of, honestly, I'll probably send it in a screenshot to my dad and be like, this essentially just looks like if I built a baseball team with what are, in my opinion, the best players I could possibly build a modern team with. And that was part of my reasoning for 47 and onward, is just the increased pitching velocity, And the integration of the major leagues makes that a particularly more compelling thing for me to build teams with. Though I'm more interested in the history side, like Cam's seasons. That's the kind of stuff I love to read. My team's the kind of stuff I like to build. Cam's stuff was the stuff that I like to read, and Sahil's was like a really amazing and detailed split of the two that really paid attention to both. Get like it had a strong focus on what categories were there, and that fantasy twist is what like separates like the 1A teams in our fantasy league sometimes from like the teams that are a few years into their fantasy journey, or even me. It's like I feel firmly like a 1B 2A player if we're gonna tier out our fantasy players and our like skill sets and experience over time, because like playing against Eric, Cam, Sahil, Andrew, and hockey, oh my god, there's like being able to play to the categories and play to the game, and I think Sahil did a really good job focusing in on that.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, it was kind of hard to balance picking players that I thought would be fun, but like also the fantasy element. I will say once Cam kind of started taking these high strikeout guys and I focused on ERA, it did pigeonhole a little bit some of the starting picks I was going to make. And I'd like to think I would have picked some of the like more recent guys. Like one of these recent DeGrom seasons, I think would have been really fun to have on my team. God, he had a 108 ERA this year. I only 15 starts, but still, or his like 170 and 2018. But yeah,
an all efficiency team with guys like 2020 injured DeGrom, or like 2021 injured DeGrom, 2020
Shane Bieber.
2020 Shane Bieber, 2020 Nick Anderson.
That's kind of what the Britain
Devin Williams.
Yeah.
There were a lot of those guys recently too with the shortened season. That'd be a fun one to see, an all efficiency type team where it's like literally a guy pitched 60 innings and then he got hurt. But man, what a hell of a run.
Devin Williams had a 0.33 ERA in 2020, man. God. He would have like, if I really like was like ERA at all costs, he might have been the pick over Britain, but oh man.
God, how about 2016 Kershaw, the 1.69 ERA? He walked 11 people over the course of a full season.
That's incredible.
That's insane. We are, God, can you, are we to see that again?
I don't know.
We
will with Grayson Rodriguez. Let's hope.
Yeah. Oh, I hope so.
Are you going to say Grayson Griner?
Him too.
Bro, with the final pick, I select Grayson Griner. 2021 Detroit Tigers. Oh my God. Grayson Griner I'm so glad he's out of the Tigers org. Like nothing personal against him. It was just so immensely frustrating to see a 170 average be put into the lineup so consistently as such an obvious sign of like late tanking.
Yeah, I feel your pain, but with Chris Davis, at least you weren't paying Grayson Griner like 100 and
Rush Davis.
Shame he wasn't a Tiger. Speaking of the Tigers, though,
people love like everyone's like, oh, Chris Ilitch is never going to spend like his dad, and yes, that is true. But on the other hand, Mike Ilitch wanted to sign Chris Davis to a $200 million contract, so.
Yeah, there's good and bad to it.
We could have had, and we have Miggy on this one still. We could have had two of them.
Man, maybe Machado's still an Oriole if that happens.
True.
I don't think so. I think that window had passed when they signed Davis, but that'd be a fun what if. And now he's a Padre, and now our third baseman is Kelvin Gutierrez.
Yeah. Who is that? Well, all right, gentlemen, it was a pleasure being on the show. I appreciate every time I get a chance to hop on.
No, thanks so much for coming on. You're one of our favorite podcast guests. Like Cam said, we thought of you immediately when I came up with this idea, and we'll get you on again soon. But thanks for being on. You want to close this out this week? Be one of our cool outros?
How do I do it?
Just
say sell the team, Bob, and then we're gonna cut it.
All right. On your mark, get set, go. Sell the team, Bob. Free Cincinnati.
You're gonna go to the record store. You're gonna give them all your money. Radio plays what they want you to hear. Tell me it's cool, I just don't believe it. Sell out with me, oh yeah. Sell out with me tonight. Record company's gonna give me lots of money, and everything's gonna be alright.
That was kind of a taking fun players. This one is very serious, or as serious as anything that we do could possibly be, I guess, which is to say not, but that was a dumb thing to say. I'm going to cut that.